In a small town in Nigeria, a baby girl was born with a strength no one had ever seen before. Her father, Chukwudi, named her Kamsi Chukwu, a name that meant just as I asked God. But he never asked for this. Kamsi's mother died during childbirth, leaving Chukwudi alone to raise her. He loved his daughter dearly, but raising a child with the strength of a man was more challenging than he ever imagined. As a toddler, Kamsi showed unnatural strength. She lifted heavy objects effortlessly and broke things without trying. At school, she struggled to fit in. When boys teased her, she fought back, leaving them with bruises and swollen lips. Teachers constantly sent her home for fighting, and parents want their children to stay away from her. By the time she was 15, Kamsi had become feared. No one dared to befriend her, and boys avoided her altogether. Chukwudi, seeing her loneliness, would sit her down and plead, Kamsi, my daughter, you don't have to fight every battle with your fists. Learn to control yourself. But it was difficult. People always find a way to trigger her. And no matter how hard she tried, her strength remained both her gift and her curse. Life became even harder when Chukwudi was diagnosed with cancer. Chukwudi had no money for treatment, so he decided to prepare himself for death. But before leaving, he had one final mission to change his daughter. Every night, despite his pain, he would talk to her. Kamsi, I won't always be here. Promise me you would stop fighting. She resisted at first, but as she watched the man who had raised her single handedly fade away, her heart softened. On his dying bed, with tears in her eyes, she whispered, I promise, Papa. After he passed, Kamsi held on to her promise. She fought no more, no matter the provocation. People who once feared her tested her patience, but she remained calm. Slowly, society accepted her, and for the first time in her life, she was seen as a woman and not a threat. One fateful Sunday, at church, she met Ifeanyi, a kind and soft spoken man who admired her resilience. They became friends, and within months, he asked for her hand in marriage. For the first time, Kamsi felt truly loved. The first few months of their marriage were blissful, but then Ifeanyi changed. He became controlling her, insulting her, and soon he became violent. Kamsi, you are my wife. You must obey me and be submissive, he would say. It started with insult, then controlling behavior, then one night a slap. Kamsi stood frozen, her heart racing. The old Kamsi would have broken his jaw by now, but she remembered the promise she had made to her father. I'm sorry, it will never happen again, he said. But it happened again and again and again. Whenever she reports to his family, expecting help, but they would dismiss her complaints. Men are supposed to treat their wives that way. Be submissive, they told her. The abuse worsened. Ifeanyi turned her into a slave, making her cook, clean, and serve him like a servant. To the extent he would still beat her whenever she was pregnant and she would miscarry. It happened a number of times, and sometimes she would fight to stay alive. Few months later, Kamsi discovered she was pregnant again and knew she had to fight to keep this baby. So whenever her husband comes with his problems, she would run out of the house until he's asleep or gone to work. Kamsi kept on and was able to survive 8 months with the pregnancy. One night, Kamsi woke up in pain. Labor had started early due to the stress and lack of sleep. She shook Ifeanyi gently. Ifeanyi, please take me to the hospital. The baby is coming. Angrily, he jumped up and slapped her across the face. You woke me up for this? You know I have to work. You know I have work tomorrow. And you're waking me up for this? He punched and kicked her, cursing as she screamed at the top of her voice. If you are in so much pain, drive yourself to the hospital, he said. With what little strength she had left, Kamsi crawled to the door, banged on a neighbor's house, and collapsed. They rushed her to the hospital, and by some miracle, her baby survived. She named him Chukudi after her father. But as she looked at her son, she knew the truth. To raise you, I must break my promise, she said. I am sorry, Papa, but I have to break my promise. 2 weeks later, Kamsi returned home with her baby. Ifeanyi didn't call, didn't visit, and when he saw her at the door, he exploded. Why did you come back? You should have stayed in that hospital forever. He pulled out his belt, ready to beat her again, but Kamsi gently placed her baby down and turned towards Ifeanyi. For the first time in years, her rage awakened. Before he could strike, she grabbed his hand and threw him across the room. She used her fist, her legs, the furniture, anything within reach. By the time she was done, Ifeanyi lay on the floor, bloodied, bones broken, begging for his life. He called his family to take him to the hospital. When they arrived, they stared in horror. None of them could speak. They took him away in silence. And when he finally recovered, he was still afraid to return home. But finally, he built up the courage and went home. And then, on getting home, he found Kamsi packing her bags. I am leaving, she said. For the first time, Ifeanyi knelt down. Please don't go. I was wrong. I am sorry. Please forgive me. I thought beating you was normal because my father did it to my mother. I never knew it was wrong until you fought back. I grew up seeing my father beat my mother, and I thought that was how men should be. Please, Kamsi, forgive me. Kamsi listened for the first time, and then they had an honest conversation. They talked, and Kamsi made one thing clear. If we start over, you will never raise a hand against me again, else I will break it. And he agreed. They began anew, this time as equal. Guys, Kamsi's story teaches that no one deserves to suffer in silence, and sometimes the only way to survive is to fight back. Breaking the cycle of abuse is possible. Ifeanyi grew up believing abuse was normal, but he learned otherwise. No woman should ever have to suffer in silence, and sometimes to survive, you have to fight back. Kamsi never forgot the lesson her father taught her. Strength was not just in the body, it was in the heart, in endurance, in knowing when to fight and when to walk away. She had fought all her life, first for acceptance, then for love, then for survival. But in the end, her greatest victory was learning that true strength is knowing when enough is enough. Hey guys, I hope you love and enjoy this story. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. And I hope to see you again with another beautiful story. Until I come your way again, bye for now.